This week, we are talking about the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League tie-in comic called Suicide Squad Kill Arkham. This is a prequel to the game, kind of explains the events that lead up to it. And Daniel, just very briefly on the game, because we're going to talk about it more after this in Gaming with Gil. The plot line, the controversial plot line, is that Brainiac has mind-controlled the Justice League, turned them evil, and now the Suicide Squad have to kill them. So this comic leads up to the events. Don't ask me any questions about the plot. We're going to save that for Gaming with Gil. You read this comic?
I did.
All right. Well, let's jump into it, and then we'll give our overall thoughts. But, feel free to give your thoughts as we go. Essentially, we start with a bunch of criminals being shipped into the freshly rebuilt and improved Arkham Asylum. Nobody's getting in or out without Amanda Waller's say-so. And some of the prisoners they brought in, you got Floyd Lawton, Deadshot, Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, and King Shark. A lot of the issue is just about setting up the status quo. Jim Gordon, you got promoted to Blue Belt. This guy got promoted to mayor. This whole game series chronicled him going from just a regular old GCPD officer. He became commissioner because Joker masquerading as Black Mask executed Commissioner Loeb. And then after the Mr. Freeze incident, they figured this guy, Jim Gordon's doing a pretty good job. And then Batman gave him hope that he could turn things around. Jim Gordon's mayor now. And Amanda Waller from the government, Argus, a little important group in the U.S. government, she is sick and tired of people escaping Arkham all the time. How many times is Joker going to break out like some kind of a gas that just expands to fill whatever space it's in and then leaks out like a certain somebody I might know? Ralph. She's sick of it, so she's taken over and she has fortified Arkham. Nobody's getting in or out without her say-so. But Jim Gordon has a little chat with Harley Quinn, and he's like, what do you think of this place? And at first she gives a very Harley Quinn answer. Like, this place is terrible. Look at these walls and the floor. The colors don't go together at all. And then he says, I'd like your clinical diagnosis now, Dr. Quinzel. And then she goes into doctor mode and gives a legitimate answer. Basically, there's a bunch of subtle things happening where clearly Amanda Waller is trying to turn up the temperature, turn this place into a powder keg that's ready to explode. By the way, did you find that humorous? The way she's crazy and then she switches into doctor mode?
I did. I let out, I didn't laugh, but I let out a little more exhalation when I read that part.
Like that?
Yeah.
Batman.
Less snide than that.
Yeah. So earlier, Batman brought in Killer Croc, and then Killer Croc woke up. Batman came back to take him down again. Now, how did Batman even get into the Arkham Asylum? And he tells Amanda, this place is not as secure as you think. And then he gives a little status quo update that feels... This was the example, Vince Gilligan, creator of Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul. There's an example he always gives about exposition, where characters will unnaturally say something that's for the audience's benefit and not something they would ever actually say organically. The challenge came up in the first episode of Better Call Saul. You have two characters who are brothers. How do you tell the audience they're brothers? And he's like, you could have one of them walk in, hey, Chuck, we've been brothers for how long? We haven't talked in, 10 years? They say something like that where it's an obvious expositional line for the audience. I feel like that's what we're seeing here, where Batman just goes into this rant. I will always be here to stop the monsters, to put an end to evil, to keep good people safe. As will the Justice League, which is why I joined them, for Gotham, for Metropolis, for wherever we are needed. The Justice League will always be there. Which I personally like to imagine that Batman is a man of few words. He speaks when necessary. He's not Peter Parker making quips here and there. He might give an inspirational speech like this when someone needs it. Tim Drake, maybe Dick Grayson, Barbara Gordon, maybe a little kid who's just down in the dumps. needs a coat put around him. Jim Gordon in Batman Begins, called back in Dark Knight Rises. But this, I didn't. This was kind of lame. Amanda Waller doesn't need this speech.
Yeah. Also, weren't they a little lax with Killer Croc? Like, I felt like they were just chilling with Killer Croc just lying there.
That
like,
was
they were not in a
bothering me,
rush.
too.
Yeah.
Batman knocked him unconscious after a pretty difficult battle, you imagine. And they even say, this guy's not going to be unconscious forever. We should probably take care of him. And everyone's just casually sitting around until he wakes up. And then thank God Batman was there to put him back down.
And he's this like giant monster. Like nowhere near on par, even with King Shark. Like nowhere near on par.
No.
Anyway.
Then all hell breaks loose. All that stuff I told you about before, where the Justice League get their brains controlled by Brainiac, that happens, but no one really knows what's going on yet from their perspective. The Justice League is missing. All hell's broken loose. And Amanda Waller says, no Justice League, we need a plan B. Or should I say a plan X. Task Force X, the official name of what we colloquially refer to as the Suicide Squad. So she says, release the prisoners. And that's after she's been turning up the temperature. That powder keg is going to explode in the next issue.
Wait, so what's her goal with releasing the prisoners?
They didn't say it yet, but I think I read it in just the overall synopsis of this series. She wants everybody to fight, and whoever survives or does a good job in the fight, it's kind of like you in jiu-jitsu. They're the survivors. They're the ones who are going to get recruited to this iteration of the Suicide Squad. Are you chomping at the bit for issue 2? What did you think of issue 1?
Is it chomping at the bit? Wasn't it like a saying that we realized we were saying wrong? Like it's champing at the bit or something?
I don't think. You're thinking of Rewrite the Wheel. And stop stalling. You're like, I don't know what to say about this. Give
Wait,
the
what
opinion.
am I supposed to say?
You don't even get
it.
to hear. I know you want me to give
it.
my opinion first, and then you can be like, yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, it's not the same quality as the Spider-Man comic we read like 3 or 4 weeks ago, which I was disappointed to hear there's not going to be another issue for like another month.
February 21st.
Yeah, but it was like it was a nice comic. I don't know.
That's kind of how I felt about
it.
It was just, I mean, I would generally say I felt more negative toward it than anything, but there were some enjoyable aspects. I would say I came up with this formula last week when I was talking on Tony's live stream. I was trying to think about what are the things that keep you engaged in a story. There's empathy for the main character, so you hope for a certain outcome. That hope keeps you reading because you want to see, is it going to happen or not? Are they going to survive? Are they going to persevere? There's also curiosity. I just want to know what's going to happen. It could be mystery box style, like Lost. Forget character development. I want to know what's in the box. I would say here, there's no real empathy. There's no characters to latch onto. There's no real curiosity because I know where it's leading. I've seen the entire story from the game, which is where this all is heading to. And there could be curiosity about how we got there. But on that front, I'm less interested in how she picked out these 4 characters, Harley Quinn, Boomerang, etc. I kind of figured she went to Arkham. She wanted some main bad guys, from Batman's Rogues Gallery. She doesn't want to go to C-level villains, so she picked these 4. I don't really care how she picked them. What I care about in terms of how we got to the game is, when did Brainiac show up? What did the Justice League go through? Did Batman try and fight the mental conditioning? That's the stuff that on a pure curiosity level I'd want to see. But I don't really care about what happened in Arkham leading up to the game. And this comic hasn't shown me anything to suggest I should care. So to me, the only thing that keeps you engaged with this story is the art. It's good art. Nice seeing these characters. And some funny moments.
Oh, it was cool when, what's his name? King Shark. Well, first of all, it was funny when he got called President Shark and he's like, I'm not an elected official.
That's the general humor you get from King Shark. Yeah. He's a lot like a Drax character. Yeah. So the Suicide Squad movie from James Gunn went one way where he was just a total dullard. This one, he's not, he has some intelligence, but he can't understand sarcasm and stuff.
And then it was like really satisfying and funny when he just ate Zaz's head off.
It's also funny because Zaz is not just a nobody character. He's been in a bunch of the games. He's shown up in a lot of Batman comics, but that's the fun of playing in a separate, non-mainstream continuity. You can kill Zaz as a punchline. Though King Shark was also killed as a punchline years ago. I mentioned earlier that there was an animated movie that was meant to be in the Arkham continuity called Assault on Arkham, where Amanda Waller gets the Suicide Squad together. King Shark is on the team, and they always have these little nano bombs in their neck. So if they disobey orders, it blows up. They find Riddler. He's able to deactivate them. But when she hits the button, everyone's fine, but King Shark's head explodes. And he's like, oh, I guess he has thicker skin I didn't account for when I did the procedure. But it was a different looking King Shark. I think essentially they erased it from continuity, but I still included it in my video. So I guess those are our overall thoughts, right? Not a great comic, not a must read by any stretch, but a little bit of fun. And to some degree, I'm curious to see where it goes. We got a decent amount of Batman in this issue, and that's the side of things I'd be more interested in, is what's happening to the Justice League. I want to see some of the steps involved there. But I want to be clear. When I say want, it's like 10% want. I would be fine if I went the rest of my life and never knew.
So I did like, and this is more of like a meta comment, but I liked the few times where they were like, find out more about what happened in, like this studio's game, Arkham Asylum or whatever. Like, there's just something very comforting about something like that. Like, it's just such an old school sort of advertisement. It was like the same thing with like the comics we saw last week, right? Yeah. There's just something like so straightforward and genuine about that marketing that I just really like.
Some might say it's a little, I don't know the right word for it, but manipulative. Oh, you enjoyed this, but you want to know what happened between these panels? Go buy the game. I'll sit here and I'll wait. Yeah, I guess it couldn't be more straightforward.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you enjoyed this? You might enjoy this other thing. Please check it out.